Perfect. Thank you very much. All right. So what is Swissnex? So Swissnex is an initiative from the Swiss government. And we do this kind of topics translation between specific hubs and Switzerland, and it's really to create synergies. For example, here, of course, we scout trends and different ecosystems in the Bay Area. And for us, it's really to create synergies with innovator from here and innovator from Switzerland. And we work with 3 different verticals. So we have art and creative industries. It could be, for example, gaming. It could be design. We work also with innovation. This includes, for example, startups, but also corporates, and with academia. And more specifically with academia. So in general, we have a range of different programs. And it could be event, for example, residencies. But more specifically with academia, because today is really about education, we organize different kind of strong program. It could be residency for researcher, also alumni gatherings to really map the different, let's say, experts in the local ecosystem. And like as today, webinars and in-person events with this kind of topic-oriented settings. Now I will let...
Hi, so here's the map of the Swissnex with the different location in red, all located outside of Europe to connect to mostly strategic innovation ecosystem. We have Boston that is more biotech, New York a bit more finance, Brazil agri-tech, Shanghai maybe a bit more like digital industries. So each of the red Swissnex location, it's approximately 10 to 15 people. And then we do have the smaller one in gray that are carried by people from embassies or the consulate.
Thank you very much. So now let's talk about the specific collaboration with Movetia. So first of all, what is Movetia? So Movetia, as Swissnex, it's also it's related to the... Yeah, so I will just mute someone. Okay, perfect. So Movetia, perfect. So as us, it's related to the government, and they are here really to promote exchange and mobility in Switzerland, in Europe, but also worldwide. And it's really to this, way of encourage and engage intercultural exchange with the different kind of steps in the educational system in Switzerland. And an important note is that they really work also on the vocational training in collaboration with companies, but also different kind of institutions. And as you can see also, so it could be for the primary and secondary schools, higher education, but also extracurricular activities. And why we do this collaboration, it's really for you, so the attendees, the audience, to have the opportunity to think about a mobility program, for example, and an exchange in the Swissnex location. So 6 of the Swissnex location that Maud presented earlier. And it's really to give you the opportunity to have this kind of awareness about the different or mobility opportunities, for example, in the Bay Area, but also to understand the different topics that are relevant in each Swissnex locations, and to see where you could find a connection, so where you could find something relevant for you. And so Swissnex, we are here to support the design and the implementation of the mobility programs, but it's also a co-creation with Movetia. And because we also have today people from Movetia, before deep dive, I wanted to see if someone would like to add something about Movetia. I saw Monica, for example.
Here. Monica, would you like to add something? Whoops.
Yes, it works. Yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for you two to prepare the whole presentation, and to all the participants to take the time and to have the interest. And yes, there's not a lot to add. You did it already very well. So as you said, the idea of this collaboration is to give you some support if you are interested in mobility or cooperation projects in the Swissnex locations. You have this possibility to have this direct link to the Swissnex offices, to the teams of the Swissnex to support you. Mostly in location-based questions, for cultural questions, for organizing stuff, for connecting to people, to other partners or to possible partners, and also to create ideas of collaboration. So that's the idea.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Monica. And this is a good transition for what we wanted to talk a bit in the next slide, because as Monica said, it's really also related to each Swissnex locations and realities. And this collaboration has 3 specific phases. We are now in the first phase, which is about exploration and matchmaking. So, for example, each location, each Swissnex would provide this kind of webinar, so explorative webinar with the local reality. For example, so today it's Swissnex San Francisco, so it's more about California, the Bay Area. And in 1 month, Swissnex in China will do the same. And it's really to give you the opportunity to understand what is happening here in terms of, let's say, topics, but also the educational system, to see which location could be interesting for you. So I think this is really something to keep in mind. It's that it's really related to the realities of Swissnex areas. And we do also the translation with the Swiss reality for you. So it's easier to see where we can co-create something together. So the second phase, this one is also super interesting because it's more tailored, meaning that after this webinar or also scouting report that we could co-create or create with you, we begin this kind of conversation to create a tailored project that could be interesting for you. It could be on let's say, a specific topic. It could be on a specific school, for example, but it's really to create some interesting synergies with you.
From 5 days to longer.
Exactly. It's like, it's really deep. It's depend of your needs and the reality of, for example, the Bay Area. And the third phase is about implementing. So this one is even more exciting because we are here really to support you to deliver the program. As Maud said, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 1 week, it could be 1 month, but it's really to show you that you are not alone here. And because we know our different ecosystems, we know different people, we are really here to deliver the program. So this would be a success for you. And we are super excited because it's also this collaboration with Movetia. So Movetia is also here to, to target different people in Switzerland to really create this beautiful, let's say, mobility moment together. So this is, let's say, the setting of the collaboration. So 3 phases. As I said, now we are in the first one. So webinar, and the webinar of today, it's about artificial intelligence and entrepreneurship, with this kind of idea of shaping the future of work, with these different topics, super interesting topics from the Silicon Valley. So as I already said, this is an exploration. You are here to learn, to gather different kind of information that could be relevant for you. It's also a discussion that we will provide, to you. And with this kind of relevance points, synergies that could, ring a bell. But I think it's also super important to keep in mind that it's a snapshot, a picture of an ongoing process. It's something that is always in action. And that means that what we are, showing you today, it's kind of the today, let's say, or yesterday picture. But we are also here to continue the conversation, if something is happening. So, but this is super important to really keep in mind. And in overall, we are, as I already said, it's something relevant to the Bay Area. So that means that it could be different from China, it could be different from Brazil. So it's also something to keep in mind that it's very specific to a specific ecosystem. Yeah, great, thank you.
Whoops, there we go. Now, why the Bay Area and what's happening here? So I'm not teaching you probably anything new. The Bay Area is an incredibly vibrant ecosystem, has a rich history of innovation and tech companies dating back all the way to the 40s with HP, actually, part of the story. And yeah, still home to some of the world-renowned companies, Google, Apple, Meta, Nvidia, as we've been talking a lot about them lately. They're also here. It's an incredibly fertile ground for startups, over 14,000 startups here in the Bay Area. Probably also due to the fact that the area is home of some of the biggest VC funds, big diverse pool of talent with some of the top universities, Stanford, UC Berkeley, research center, but also a lot of other colleges, community colleges that we'll see also bring a lot of value. We also always talk about Stanford because they're very famous, but you will see that actually there is a lot of other schools here and a unique mindset. I think this is not a myth that here it's, the fast early adoption, feedback, not a failure, philosophy, fail fast, iterate, start again. It's really part of this mindset. And when you put all those things together, you really have kind of like a cluster effect, where all those elements work together and can develop like strong network between the corporate, the startups, the academia. We're going to see how corporate and academia actually work together. It's very interesting. Lots of also opportunities with fairs, conference, events that give a platform for all those actors to meet and interact with each other. Yeah.
Great.
Oops. Everything to do.
All right, so
Whoops, there I go.
Okay, so why entrepreneurship?
Those are the two themes we're going to talk about today.
Exactly, and the first one is entrepreneurship, and because it's the Silicon Valley model, it's a unique one, it's a long one. There is a long story of legacy and different kind of innovation within this mindset and way of innovate. But I think also because we are here, to think about education and how to create this kind of mobility between different educative system, it's super important to see that education, as Maud already told you about, Stanford and UC Berkeley. So education, meaning academia in general, they have this kind of main role in this innovative culture. We could see universities in general, so education as incubator here, because they provide different kind of programs, support. I don't want to say a lot because I don't want to spoil, but it's just to set a bit, the setting that it's not binary about universities and let's say startup. It's more than universities play an important role within the startup culture. So it's the reason why for us it was super interesting to talk a bit about this.
Yes, and the second theme, as we already said, is AI. Why SF and AI? Can I hear myself? Technologies and cities. They have cycle. I think right after COVID, it was a bit challenging for the Silicon Valley, not so much in terms of businesses, but a lot of people left with lots of remote working. And really a thing that we can observe since a few years, I'd say, is this whole generative AI boom that started in 2022 that gave this kind of AI renaissance, as some of the headlines put it. And I've now, like, AI is really, again, the center of our attention. All the big players are here, OpenAI, Google, Meta, and a lot of startups. And I mean, those you can see from the headlines, it's definitely an interesting place now. It can feel overwhelming at times, but there is a lot of potential. I think we can't really talk about future of work or what would be serving students without mentioning actually what are the skills that will be needed I took this from the report of the future of job from the World Economic Forum, that just came out this January. And if you zoom in like the core skills of 2030, we can see there is AI, big data, technological literacy, creative thinking, resilience, flexibility, agility, analytical thinking. And all of this kind of reflect all the topic, I think, that are somehow related to AI and entrepreneurship. And before we dive in, we're going to just briefly talk about the education system just to make sure we're all on the same page. So here on the left, US, on the right, Switzerland. We'll mostly focus, as you understand, on the upper part, which is the higher education. So do you want to say something? Yeah.
Yes, because it's a webinar for higher education, but including vocational training. So before deep dive into this, it's important to keep in mind that yes, for the universities, there is this kind of similar process. So you have undergraduate, bachelor, you have master degrees, you have doctoral studies. But in the US, they don't really have a standard vocational training system. It's not like Switzerland. So you could find similar trainings more within a community college, for example, this one. And yes, you have vocational training institution, but these are very like tailored. It could be within a company, for example, or in different kind of institution, and it could be 2 weeks training or a longer one. So there isn't this kind of one voice about how to provide vocational training for students. So it's the reason why for you, especially if you want to work more with vocational training within California, the community colleges are really relevant, and they provide super interesting approaches. We will deep dive into this, but it was important also to keep this in mind that yes, vocational training in California, mostly, it's more in community college. So keep this in mind for the future, for the rest of the webinar.
So this looked very overwhelming. It's also very small. Don't worry, you're going to receive the slide, but it's just like within the university higher education, there's a lot of different terminologies that we're going to talk about and mention. So I think maybe it's good to have a little quick refresh on some. We're not going to go through the whole table, but when we say university here, they can be public or private. And it's just the whole picture. That is like the university 4 years degree here, bachelor's of 4 years, 2-year master, and then doctor or postdoc. The Ivy League is a term you probably heard a lot. It's a lot in movies. It's the most like always like the prestigious university, but none of them are on the West Coast. So when we say like Stanford or UCLA, they're actually not Ivy Leagues. Which sometimes people mistake. So it's really a Harvard, Yale, AIDS university on the East Coast. Those, of course, with prestige come often a high price tag. So those are always like the most expensive ones. Then we have the UC, which stands for University of California. They're public, but they still come with tuition fees, which are not cheap comparing to what we find in Switzerland. And it's really a bachelor, master, doctoral, postdoctoral degrees, kind of like university research focused. UC Berkeley, UC San Diego, UCLA, you probably heard of them. Then you have the CSU for California State University. They're public. They're a little bit like cheaper than UC's. They offer similar degrees, but more limited on the doctoral, postdoctoral degrees. They're technically also more adapted for the workforce preparation, a little bit more affordable. And then you have community colleges. We're going to talk a lot about them. Tuition is approx $1,500 a year. It's often shorter, approximately 2 years, and it's more like vocational certificate, associate degree. It comes also with more like flexible schedule for people who also want to do part-time programs. And it has like a more application. And then vocational training, those schools tends to be like a bit more expensive, but they also sometimes a bit shorter, few months to 2 years. And it's very, as we just mentioned, very career focused, very hands-on, specific training for a specific career. It's like in healthcare, automotive, electrical. So just to set the picture so nobody's confused when we use all those terms in the next slide. So now let's dive in.
All right, so now I hope the headache is not, too too heavy, but now let's really deep dive into the two topics. But before, talking about the different universities, and thank you, Mo, to, had to share this kind of overview of the different levels of university education, we might say. It's also important to take some time to understand how entrepreneurship is integrated in universities in the California education. And it's also great to see that basically there is some patterns that you can see and synergies in this like overall picture of how entrepreneurship is in let's say, education. For example, it's a very collaborative model, and this could be also related to the Silicon Valley mindset. It's really about fostering this entrepreneurial culture within university, within the different strategies. And related to this collaboration, it's also different kind of, let's say, private-public joint effort to support entrepreneurship, startups creation. For example, you have like partnerships with Stanford and UC Berkeley, and you have also partnerships with like a university in general and a company. So it's really this kind of, let's create something together. And the last one is knowledge sharing and knowledge dissemination. So the community of support and network is also something super interesting and important in this, let's say, entrepreneurship model within universities. And it's really a way to support let's say, the different entrepreneurs, but it's also a way to enforce the different connections and ties within academia and industry. So it's really within the academia, but also between academia and the rest of the different stakeholders related to the marketplace. So it's also, we come back a bit with the future of skills here for the job market. And related to this, so this culture is a way also to create accessibility to the markets. And it's something important because, the culture of job market in the US is not the same than in Switzerland. So it's a way, really to give the opportunity to the students to effectively become the future worker, basically. And as I already said, so for the students, it's great. But for the academia, it's also this way of understanding what is happening in the industry and to adapt them in the future. Great. So this is the overall picture. And now let's talk about the different group of universities and education in general. So first one, UC. So as Maud already said, it's public universities in California. So the approach of the entrepreneurship culture is really like research driven here, meaning that they support the researcher of the UC system to create a product within their own research. It could be the students as well. But here it's super interesting because there is an office, because it's part of this public system of universities. By public, we mean that the government have this kind of control. They have an office of innovation transfer that is really here to promote this innovative culture and to promote different kind of entrepreneurship programs within the 10 campuses across California. So it's kind of centralized, which is super interesting. It really creates something. And here you have like 3 examples that really show a bit this kind of research-driven innovation, meaning this kind of really strong ecosystems of innovation. The first one, and probably you know it, it's the SkyDeck accelerator of UC Berkeley. And this one is really for different actors within universities to support them if they have an idea, they know that they have this kind of different support to create this idea into a product, for example, or into a services, depending of, the nature. And what is super interesting, and it's related to the research driven, is that, for example, the Berkeley has department, which is a very strong business department, well-known one. They have an important role here to support the startup founders in their own entrepreneurial journey. So this is why we mean by research driven, is that UC Berkeley take their own expertise, different expertise to support the startups, let's say, entrepreneurial journey. But side note to this, you don't need really to be an alumni of this university to be part of this community and different programs. If you have a relevant idea, you can be a part of the different program. And it shows also that, it's more than the university, is more the relevance of the idea. So this is the first one. And it's not topic oriented. The second one, UC San Diego HomeLab. This one is topic oriented. It's a very strong biotech accelerator in San Diego. They have a very good reputation. And this one, it's more about this kind of innovation park. They bring different kind of companies. They are here also to support the entrepreneurial journey of their own community. And it's super interesting because it's a bit different from the SkyDeck accelerator, because it's really, it's this kind of innovation park with different actors here. The last one is UCSF, so UC San Francisco Innovation Venture. And so UCSF is well known in the health tech and healthcare, let's say, environment. So this one is also topic oriented. And here, the key element is really to connect the graduate and postgraduate students to different health tech leaders to really enforce this kind of, go beyond the academia and go to the industries, but with this strong, let's say, research-oriented expertise. Basically, this is a bit the model we have in the UC system related to innovation and entrepreneurship. So strong research, but still connected to the industries. The next one, California State Universities. It's a bit more applied learning and application to the real world. So the entrepreneurship mindset here. The target group are still, researcher and students, but here it's really to, it's more applied. It could be more related, for example, to what we have in Switzerland with University of Applied Science. And it's really to give the opportunity to the students and researcher to create something, create a services or a product that could be relevant in different industries. So you don't have a centralized office like in the UC system, but the entrepreneurial culture is present in different campuses. And here also, there is also some example. We will share with you the presentation after, and you can also deep dive in more, in the different example. But for example, the first one is more a community for the students, this kind of iteration and network with interesting people to give them more insight on how to create something concrete. The second one is super interesting. It's in Sacramento. And it's this kind of, now it's a regional hub. It's really known as this, space in which the researcher, but more specifically students, can learn and can connect with people with this idea of creating something new in the marketplace. And the last one, San Jose University, super interesting because of the name, because, it's Silicon Valley Center for Entrepreneurship. They are super strong in disseminate different kind of knowledge. but also different kind of programs, and they work a lot more with students to give them the opportunity to connect with strong actors within the Silicon Valley. So it's, as I said, it's more applied. It's really to give the students the opportunity to go beyond the academia and to create something special and new. Community colleges. So the California vocational trainings model, we could say. So super interesting. This, for example, they target really, specifically the students. As we already say, community college, they have this kind of hands-on approach to really provide learning and skills for the students for specific jobs, for example, or profiles. It could be business, it could be culinary, it could be something else. And here the entrepreneurial culture is super interesting because it's now we see also this kind of post-pandemic workplace recovery. And it's really to give the student the opportunity to create something new and that could be beneficial to everyone in the marketplace. So there is also this kind of inclusivity and accessibility. And this inclusivity is also part of the community college approach in general, because it's less expensive and it's also less heavy. You can do, for example, a part-time training. So it gives really the opportunity to students from minorities, or let's say from marginalized groups, to become entrepreneurs and to have an education. And yes, so the mindset is more about small business initiative. You have an idea, you want to create something, and the community college are here to support you with mentors, for example, with specific, let's say also programs, but also with grants. And I think this is super interesting to see that they really want you to thrive as an entrepreneurs. And now there is also even a politic decisions from a specific region, so the Orange County region, to really support those students to create their own work, basically. So the first example is really up to a university. So it's the University of it's the College of Santa Ana, and they provide this kind of entrepreneurship program. This one is super interesting because they are also international. So this could be something to keep in mind. They provide this kind of international business approach and freelancer/entrepreneur programs for the students. The Talented, this one is super interesting. It's new, it's a platform, and they are here to connect students with different trainings, and they provide also different kind of entrepreneurship support. But what is super interesting is really this kind of digital way of becoming an entrepreneur. And it shows a bit this kind of accessibility and inclusivity of colleges. They really want to support the different students. And yes, the last one, I already talked about it. It's really this, let's say, public policy approach to really enforce this entrepreneurship, let's say, mindset and opportunities for the students with the different grants and programs. So in overall, it's really to show that the entrepreneurial culture is really something strong in California, and you have different kind of target groups and different kind of program to support them. Yes, very quickly, private universities. By private universities, I mean, for example, Stanford, University of Southern California, or Caltech. Because they are private, the approach is a bit different. So they are really here to support more the students, but also the professor and researcher to translate their idea into something that is relevant to the market, that is really monetized. And yeah, you have different kind of example, but because they are private, the support is even more stronger for the different targets. And it's something super interesting to see. And they also have this kind of international awareness and mobility. And lastly, so this is to show a bit the collaborative mindset. As I already said, There is also an entrepreneurial program within between universities. For example, the Decode one here. It's between Stanford and UC Berkeley, and I think it's super interesting because we have this narrative of competition between those two universities, but no, they work together. And this one is more this kind of community of supports between different kind of entrepreneurs to share knowledge. Perfect. And so lastly, we also have academia and industry collaboration example. The first one, super interesting. It's a new collaboration only last year between University of Southern California and Techstars. It's a bootcamp, basically. It's really, there are really this kind of structure. And what is interesting, Techstars is this international network incubators. So it shows that they really want to create this strong entrepreneurial culture. Plug and Play, I think some people of you already know this company. They are also based in Switzerland, and they provide different kind of programs for different universities. So this one could be also interesting for you because they don't target one universities. It's something very proactive that we could work together. And the last one, this one is a super interesting signal because it's Stanford, but it's not on the entrepreneurial, it's not on the startup founders side, it's more on the VC one. So the startup investors, and they have a program to basically train the future VCs and to give them this kind of mindset about how to invest quickly, but also smartly. And this gives this kind of, overall picture of the entrepreneurial ecosystem. So yes, that's it on my side. Thank you very much. And I think what is important to keep in mind is that, yes, entrepreneurship is really, integrated in the core of the academia. It's not only about startup founders, it's also about VC. So it shows that universities are relevant to innovate, basically. And for them, it's also a way to understand what is happening in the market and to adapt their different trainings. Yes, so thank you very much.
Perfect. Thanks, Sarah. Now let's go to AI. Also, we have time for questions, so towards the end. Also, if I speak too fast, please just raise a hand or say something, a comment, because sometimes I just don't realize I speak too fast. So the topic is really broad, and I mean, it goes from the curriculum itself to enhancing the learning experience for students to optimizing the administrative process of the school. So first, I'm going to highlight some signals, as I like to call them, that I believe give a bit of a taste of what is happening here and also what is to come. And then I'll give you some example of the different fields and how they're evolving due to AI and how the different schools and universities are responding to those changes. So the first one I'd like to mention is this bill. It's a new legislation that will incorporate AI literacy and media literacy into the state's curriculum for all K-12. So when we say K-12 here, it's from kindergarten, so 5 to 6, to 12th grade, which is end of gymnasium, like 17, 18 years old. Because they believe that just like reading, writing, and counting, digital literacy, and AI literacy is and will be considered as a basic skill to develop. Oh, someone is entering. There you go. A basic skill to succeed in this modern world, as we can say. So this is just to ensure that all students have a basic understanding of AI principle, application, can to some extent recognize when it's employed, and also aware of like all the implication it has, limitation, ethical considerations, and all of that. Second signals that I think is interesting to talk about is this summer, a new state initiative with NVIDIA has been signed, more precisely with community colleges in California. And it takes the form of training the students and educators, curriculum and certifications. NVIDIA also committed to provide some of the hardware and the software for training, which is often what is very expensive for school. So this is a good thing. And some AI labs, workshops, we'll see more what is happening in the upcoming month. But we were in contact with someone who is close to the, who's also working for this collaboration and seems really excited. So really here, the goal is to align with the industry demands and really train this sort of pool of talents with specific skills ready to work. And we'll see in a minute, this type of collaboration between industry and academia has also been the strategy of Intel with their in 2020. It's been to be successful, so we'll see that later. And the last one that made us update our presentation last minute, that just came out yesterday, is that OpenAI and the California State University are partnering together to deploy ChatGPT, which so it's a version that it's ChatGPT EDU, so it's a sort of like customized version that actually came out in May. They had a few pilot projects with, for example, University of Arizona earlier this year. So that would be used for teaching and learning. So faculty can use it to curriculum development and like interactive course-specific things. And students would be able to use it for more like personalized tutoring, study guides, information retrieval, and things like that. And I noted one of the quotes from their press release is that CSU will connect students with apprenticeship program in AI-driven industry, ensuring graduates to enter the workforce with in-demand AI skills. So you can really see a very big push in integrated, yeah. And so that was the program I just mentioned when I was talking about NVIDIA. Here's an example of, it's called AI for Workforce from Intel, sorry, that was launched in 2020, so 4 or 5 years ago. Let's maybe watch just to have a better understanding of how like academia and industry collaboration can work. This video is from 2021, but the program is still up and running. We'll see in a bit. I don't know if it will try. Yeah, we'll play.
I'm Gregory Bryant, and I'm the Executive Vice President of Client Computing at Intel. In 2020, we announced this ambitious set of 2030 corporate responsibility goals. We call that a RISE strategy, which is our way of partnering with the technology industry and beyond to create a more responsible, a more inclusive, a more sustainable future, all enabled through our technology, as well as the expertise and the passion of all of our employees.
Artificial intelligence is such a game changer for our society that it requires a very ambitious response to be able to build the workforce of the future.
Intel's AI for Workforce is a hands-on program that's empowering students with the necessary AI skills they need for employability in the digital economy. And by partnering with community colleges, we can help address the long-term AI skilling gap, as well as making emerging technology like AI more inclusive.
60% of the students that are enrolled in community colleges are female. Over 50% are minorities. So from a diversity perspective, we want to make our technology, artificial intelligence, available to as many people as we can.
Intel and Maricopa County Community College District launched the first artificial intelligence associate degree program in the United States in the fall of last year, 2020.
When we're partnering with Intel, we know what the industry is looking for and what they require for their employees. They're going to have the right skills that are needed.
We're teaching what's relevant. We're teaching the newest technology. So the opportunity to provide this for our students will be really good for the district, for Maricopa County, and for the state of Arizona.
We have a commitment to expand our digital readiness programs to reach 30 million students in 30,000 institutions in 30 countries around the world.
This is the right issue from a government perspective, and it's the right issue from an industry perspective. It's a perfect marriage in terms of getting to the next level for economic activity for our workers, and for the competitiveness of their economies. When you make technology as widely available to as many people, great things do.
So to be able to prepare students and the workforce to meet this need, it's just very exciting to be a part of that.
We'll continue to partner with governments, communities to address the digital divide and also to expand access to these workforce skills that are needed for current and for future jobs.
So we're not paid by Intel to promote anything. We don't take any commission or anything. I couldn't find any data. I wanted to find some data on job placement. Maybe I should look further. But if we look at the map of, it's updated on the website. It's still running in 2025. And there is now, up to March was the last data, over 110 schools, 39 states. That's how it's joined the program here. You can see a lot on the east and on the west coast. So I think they probably are doing something right. But I think it's really interesting, this sort of collaboration. And NVIDIA was actually inspired by this program to launch their initiative to work with community colleges. So yeah, next slide. But generally speaking, I think what we see across the education system here is really a big push, whether it is to develop courses, degree centers, working group. What we see also, we can observe is really interesting is the, I would say, proliferation of short courses like certificate, boot camp, continuing education programs like Stanford, Berkeley. I feel like almost every university have like one in one form or another. I'm actually following one at the moment, so guess it's useful. And yeah, I feel I also added a resource because I think this is a really interesting resource. It is not only, you can see there's a link when we give you the presentation. It's called Educause. It's a nonprofit association. They really work on the integration of technology in higher education. They have summit. They have a lot of like case study framework. They work a lot, and I think it's a great resources if you want to have a look about what's happening in the US in the field now. They're very active. So yeah, I think also when we talk about AI in education, there is this kind of like two categories. One is to sort of like develop the workforce in terms of like engineers. And then there's this more like adoption of AI in various fields. And that's what we're going to see now. With a couple of examples. So for example, in the context of like creative work, generative AI has really opened the door to like with the creation of like new software in terms of like design, to create, to streamline workflows, automate repetitive tasks, and really offer like new way of experimenting. I cited a few of them like Adobe Firefly, V0, Midjourney, Runway. Well, you're gonna have a look if you're interested, but you probably also heard about some of those. I mean, we'll still need competent like people in design and graphic design, but I think really the speed and efficiency that can be enhanced by those tools. I mean, I did my bachelor degree at ECAL, the art and design school in Switzerland, and when I'm seeing some of those demos, I can't help myself but thinking how much time I would have saved, but I guess this is part of the game. So when we see the responses, a lot of, so I've just put a few, but for example, like California College of Arts added some courses, AI-based interaction, AI culture, creativity, AI ethics. CalArts also added some courses in terms of like ethical and AI in film, AI for experimental animation, algorithmic practices, etc. And then we also have this designer and creative, Claire Xu, who we also actually worked with her at Swissnex. She created a bootcamp for creative and artists on how to use and integrate those tools in their workflow. Yeah. Another example I like that was out of an interview from a professor from Berkeley was mentioning AI is going to be central in healthcare delivery within 10 to 15 years from now. We're at an inflection point. And I think this is true in some extent. I think, also we could speak for hours on the subject of care, healthcare, and AI from, like AI in diagnosis, drug discovery, virtual health assistants, predictive analytics, or even a lot of the administration tasks like note-taking and all of that. Of course, implementation come with challenges. This is just not like AI magic, and it's going to solve like all of the humanity issues and everybody's going to be healthy and everything. But I think really we'll hope that both, for patients and practitioner, it's currently really like empowering with some of those tools and platform. And here again, I think most cases would be like supporting practitioner, like spending more time than on things that really matters that actually like things couldn't do. And some of the responses also here, put a few, but it was just a lot. For example, UC Irvine had the Center for Intelligence AI in Diagnosis Medicine. UCLA has the AI Council, Health AI Council, where they discuss a lot about practices, ethical issues, and all those kind of things. UCSF just started a new master in science, in AI and computational drug discovery development, which is also part of this AI UCSF. So UCSF is very much healthcare oriented. So this is under like this whole umbrella of initiative with everything they do with AI. It's very interesting. So you can also have a look. Then we also have Valid AI, which is a collaborative program between healthcare plans, research organizations, tech companies, and nonprofit to really help bridge this gap by like exploring different uses, having like sort of pilot projects, AI in healthcare, and research to sort of like accelerate real world example, and then accelerate applications. And then maybe to cite a last example, for example, the field of HR will be also undergoing, I think, significant transformation due to AI, with like some help, like tasks of like writing jobs and like resume screening, of like administrative tasks like payroll. So I think it will also like shift towards something more like this strategic decision making or collaborative approach with those AI tool. Some responses from some of the school or colleges. Cal State East Bay also like incorporated a new class, employing equitable AI. So it's a new human resources management course that really also address all the risks and benefits of using AI in HR practices. They also talk a lot about ethics. I think in the field, it's extremely important, just, like all the bias in like past data. You don't want to, train your models on data that are extremely biased in some cases. California State University of Norwich also have like a new class called Using AI to Improve Human Resources and Practices. And I think also the growing importance of data analytics in those fields, ethics, AI, soft skills development, and things like that. And as just to give like I love to talk about signals, because I feel like you can't always like predict the future or things like this. I mean, this is already here, but just having some evidence that just show where things are happening, things are going. So this is this company based here in SF. I think they're like pushing the thing a bit far. Sometimes, then it's also about like finding the right middle ground, but it's called Brain Trust. And basically they use like generative AI in lots of like processes and tasks. Of course, always human in the loop. It's not like fully automated, but like it's just helping for some of those tasks. And it gives, I think, a good example of how text can enhance some of those practices. We're actually already collaborating with a lot of companies. So that was a little bit of a picture of what is happening here. Let's take away.
So the takeaway is, so the first one, as I said to you, we see that universities or education are really active player in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. They have this kind of incubator role. They facilitate different kind of networkings, and they connect really research, startup, and venture capital. We also see that in the entrepreneurship, there is like a diversity of programs, activities, and support, but really the key element is to connect the different stakeholders together. Related to this connection, we saw also a lot of joint forces from different universities, but also from the private sector and the public one, or the university education. And the last one, it's also the influence of alumni and networks. So you have mentors, you have industry's leader, and it's really this kind of vibrant ecosystem that really, give the opportunity for students, researchers, different kind of staff within education to create something or to invest in something.
A bit, I think on the AI side, I think you can also see from Switzerland, things are moving extremely fast. I think nothing is really set in stone. There's lots of like experimentations and things like that. But I think, as we prep this presentation, there is lots of iteration because came to have adding, removing things. So probably this presentation would be outdated in 2 weeks, but at least for now, this is good. What we see is that AI is entering the curriculum at every level. I think starting with AI literacy, strong collaboration, industry education. There's two, I wouldn't say big trends, but when we say AI, there's like this, development of engineers and people who are really going to be like really close to AI development tools and things like that, but like also the adoption to like different fields, like a lot of field would be affected in one way or another, and some things can, And what was the last one? I think this is nothing new. There's been a lot of continuing education department in lots of university and things like that. But I think because of this sort of like AI adoption, upskilling things, we can really see a lot of thing happening, and it's going to be a big role of this upskilling, continuing education. And one of the last sort of thoughts, this is just more a bit like observation. I think, the US and Switzerland is also very different in the way like it works and like the cost of things and all of that. But I think that in the US also, due to like the current like job market that is not so easy and extremely often like high cost of education that are not guaranteed a job like maybe it used to for previous generation. Vocational training of having those hands-on skills that are like directly applicable to a job and will become, I think, we think more relevant and popular. But
yes, and this is for you a key message to say, because we show a bit the strength and of the local ecosystem in which we are, but it's also to show that Switzerland is very strong, and it's a way also of promoting our education system, and it could be this kind of synergies we could create together. So it's to say that we have a very strong vocational training system, so it could be also something interesting to explore together. Yes, thank you. So, of course, let's keep in touch. This was like the first, let's say, contact together, matchmaking. So you can directly book a call with Swissnex, us. You also have the different email address. Of course, we will also send this presentation after, so you can deep dive if you have any question, or you also have an email address. And what's next? As we said, do you want to talk about it?
So we're excited to see our colleagues and friends from China for the second webinar, which would be, so they also have two different topics. It would be more vocational training and industry 4.0 or 5.0. Excited to see about this. And more about e-commerce, gamification in China, and the e-commerce markets. Oops, sorry, yeah. And now we're going to open the floor for questions.
And I just wanted no worries. Monica, would you like to add something?
Yes, I just would like to take the opportunity. Thank you so much, two of you, for this very interesting presentation. And I just wanted to add something about the possibilities you have now for the next steps. So as Maud just said, that you have the possibility to contact Swissnex directly. So the webinar now, the goal of the webinar was really to get you some to inspire you, to give you some ideas about possible topics or possible partners for a mobility or a cooperation projects. And you have the possibility really to contact them directly and to ask for some support, some advice, maybe if you would like to see for some partners or understanding a bit more about the detailed system. And there, the idea would be that you have the possibility to have this support, and Movetia will support this for a certain amount of hours. So, and for to give you the chance or to support you in building up a project. And for the project themselves, you have the possibility through our normal programs. Movetia has a diversity of programs for all education levels, and there you find the info on our website, or of course through a direct link to us.
Yes, what we will do, we will send the presentation, and we can add also the different links from Movetia, so you have like the whole picture of how to co-create something together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So thanks to everyone for your attention and for spending the hour-ish with us. Any question, raise your hands. How many people? You can also unmic. We're not too many, so that's not going to be too chaotic. Yeah. No questions.
No question. I think you probably need also to digest a bit.
One question. Just wondering, is there any initiative from Swissnex in the terms of collaborating with the program, or again, people from Switzerland on the way back? Like, I know there's AI initiative at Swissnex, but and what you'll present with the schools. But is there a path now, also between countries or anything, or is it more like it's the Wild West now?
So do you mean like, is there intergovernmental like partnership?
It's more just Swissnex specific, right? The whole what Swissnex initiatives, I know it's mostly educational and with startups and all that, but let's say from an education standpoint, that if you're Swiss, let's say you come to San Francisco or Swissnex, or you go into school, with you guys, how that's all connect? Or is it more like you guys just tell what's out there and that's it? Or is there a bridge already also?
That's a good question. So different kinds of elements, but one thing that probably, so we have now Maud, if you are interested in AI, Maud is the AI person at Swissnex in San Francisco.
Yeah.
She's very unique. She's the only one basically. So like the rest.
Yeah, cool.
Like, on the topics, and she has this kind of overview through the different verticals on AI.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. I'll connect with her then, maybe. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Sure.
And question for you. So could you also, what are you doing? Are you related to a university, or this could help us?
No, I'm past that. So I'm originally from Switzerland. I worked in California for 15 years, worked in Hollywood, worked for Snap, have my own AI startup now. Okay. And I'm just connected as more on the mentor side with Swissnex, but I wanted to see where the education stuff is. Okay. And It's all intertwined, because I think AI now will make people very, very powerful if they have the right stuff and the right tools. So I think it's a very different way of how a job needs to be looked at, a skill with AI, but then also what would you do without, So that whole education, what's being told to people, it's not like, here's AI, good luck. And the price reduction in value, right? Because AI can do all this, all of a sudden people will not want to pay. Just like with music, you don't want to pay for music. Like, okay, tell that to a lawyer, tell that to a student that's building a career that used to be very lucrative or safe or a good way to go.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought maybe you guys are on the pulse there.
Super interesting. If I can, share more about pattern and the different program we could co-create together. So usually in the academia, so the key message here was you have a need, we will find a way to co-create something. And yes, education is let's say the bridge for this kind of program. But usually we do residency. It's more like for researcher, but also for like half people within university. And it could be in 1 week, it could be 2 months. It depends of also the availability of the people. And we connect these people with interesting stakeholders, but this is really related to the goal of the program. The goal, for example, is to create more partnership with different universities. We will connect this person with head of department, for example, to really, as facilitator, we have this kind of facilitator role. We are here to connect people together. And after they decide if they want to create a partnership. This is the first one. The second one, and this could be really with Movetia, we can also organize students exchange or mobility. So it could be, for example, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Here it's more, this kind of immersion within the ecosystem. For example, a school of nursing, it's connect them with different nursing school, UCSF, for example, that work on AI and health tech. And it could have also different role. We could have this kind of peer exchange with other students. So they understand a bit more how they already use AI. And it could be also this kind of participating in classes. So this is more about, immerse themselves within the different trainings. So this could be a possibility. We could also imagine an individual, let's say, exchange for one student or one assistant on a topic. So the key message here, it's really now we provided you this kind of snapshot of picture of what is happening. And yes, as you said, the next step is to schedule a call together and see a bit what are the needs on your side, for example, what we could and how we could co-create together, basically. And
sure. I think there's an opportunity for students or interns or all that things. Maybe who are like, all right, you're doing something and you want to now connect with the people who are doing it. So
and you mentioned something important. Yes, it's also the internship. Yes, this could be also something super interesting. And this, we could also show a bit what is happening in Switzerland, because we are very strong with vocational training. So let's say...
Cool. I'm the bridge. I'm Swiss, but I'm in the US, and I always go back and you bring the new stuff, but then you realize it's sleeping. And you guys, on the other hand, are on San Francisco going. So anyway, happy to talk about it.
For sure.
We're going to send the presentation, so you'll have the address, the email address, but also we are on Pier 17, so you can also
if you're here by for a coffee.
Will you guys be at Human X or not? Okay. All right.
Some of the stuff.
See you there.
Sorry, we have multiple screens, so I feel like I kept on looking at different directions, but yes. There we go. So cool.
Good. Thank you. Is there any other questions? Don't be shy. Or you don't need also to stress yourself to find a question. It's really
here. You can send us an email.
You will also have our email addresses if it's something, if you need to take the time to, digest a bit. That's also a good thing. And really, the key message is that we are here for you. We are super happy, to co-create something together. And to talk together, basically. And if you know, you need to have more information. We could provide also different kind of scouting, could be scouting report, for example, to give you even more information about something that might be interesting for you in the Bay Area.
Yeah, I mean, we're already in contact with most of like schools and university because we organize like different tour for some of the schools in Switzerland here for weeks or like that. But yeah, but I mean, if there's not other questions, maybe it's what, dinner time in Switzerland? Oh, it's past. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Don't hesitate to send us an email. We'll provide all the slides and everything. And thank you again for your time and attention. I don't know if you want to also close with something, Monica. We're good?
No, perfectly fine. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.